Hey, for Sunday, October 11th, 2020, this is the Pro and Con Show, and I'm your host, Michael James Ott. And as always, welcome to the show. Welcome to me talking to you about let's be better citizens. Let's work on our governance. We can do this. We can make our lives so much better. And if you don't want to do it for yourselves, maybe you're getting on in years or whatever, don't think it makes a difference. Do it for your children and your children's children. We can do this. We can, as good as people look at, this so-called beacon of democracy that is the United States of America, or at least was. As much as people look at that, we can do so much better. We can have a major upgrade in how well democracy works for all of us if we will step away from the party systems and all of the influence and money and power grabs and all that stuff that's entailed with that, and instead step away from that, amend the Constitution so that we can have what I call, or what we should all be calling, citizen statesmen. People like you, who would be potentially randomly selected, and ultimately, if the rest of us, as through the selection process, if the rest of us say, well, he's a pretty good candidate, she's a pretty good candidate for senator from Ohio, guess what? You would be senator from Ohio, and you would, per the amendment, you would do your dead level best to serve. And when your term was over, you go back home. Go back to, and it could be just like military service. If you everybody probably knows somebody or heard of somebody at their workplace that's leaves. They're part of the National Guard, or they're a reservist in the Navy or whatever, and they get called up and they go, they leave for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. But then when they come back, both because it's mandated by law, but also because the vast majority of the rest of us are like, thank God, you served. Thank God you served. And for going through that, we welcome you back, okay? Because we need people to serve us. We need those small numbers of people to serve us. And we need to appreciate, it's going to be a pain in the butt to be the representative from whatever district. But it's far better to have reluctant leaders as opposed to people who would be king. So this is actually part 4 of my Citizen Statesman series, talking about this proposed constitutional amendment. So we talked about the overview, and then we talked about having this centralized system wholly paid for by the government, secured by high quality security systems as approved by Congress every election year, updated periodically, and so on. And then the first step was casting a wide net. The second step is compelling the people to give even more information, and then start voting, us looking at these candidates, and based on the information they've presented in this system, vote for them, and the better candidates will percolate up in this hierarchy, and then we would then vote for them, kind of in an initial phase. So here it is, the language in the proposed amendment. No later than the end of August of each election year, the citizens will vote for the preferred candidate from the pool of 3 for House and Senate, and the preferred candidate from the pool of 5 for president. Okay, so this is the kind of the phase 3 of a 4-phase process by which candidates are identified, screened, voted for, and ultimately final voted for in this selection. So the top 2 candidates of each election will proceed to phase 4, the final election. Okay, so we've again taken this random group, and it's going to end up being a couple thousand people across the country, selected randomly, and then compelled to give some preliminary information, then compelled to give some more information, and then selected to this preliminary group of final candidates, or semifinals, I guess maybe is the better way to say it. Use a sports term as semifinal candidates, and then we vote on them and we determine the final candidates for the last phase of voting, the phase 4. So then between the end of August, now the other thing about this is these early phases, we're just doing a bunch of preliminary stuff, okay? So, and we have this centralized system and we can protect the information in it. And so that affords us time. That affords us plenty of time, plenty of access. People can't say, oh, I can't make it there on a Tuesday because, I'm working. No, you got, 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever to go on the system, look at stuff, decide what you want to do. And this system should be available 24 hours a day. There's no reason why it wouldn't be, And you could go to various public access places if you can't afford a computer, don't have one or whatever, can't afford a mobile phone, any of these devices. Plenty of public access locations that we could make sure there are libraries, city halls, police stations, on and on and on. Or we could say, okay, here's public access to these systems. There is no excuse. You can sit there and heck, if we want to, we can have free coffee and donuts or something at these things. As long as you're looking at the information about the voters and things like that. All of this, by the way, would cost a couple $100 million. It's nothing compared to all the money that's spent these days on elections. But anyway. So, maybe the computer would monitor if you're actually looking through, various candidate portfolios or resumes or whatever you want to call it, biographies, and, reading that information. And every 30 minutes, you get a little coupon that says you get another free cup of coffee or you get, whatever at, $5 off at whatever restaurants, participating restaurants. So you could make it where people would be, influenced and somewhat compelled to do it just because, they would be, one, participating in the system. Hopefully that would be the main reason. But two, there would be this supplementary thing where maybe they could, get an ice cream cone or whatever, as a treat for participating in our government. Anyway, so let me finish reading this. So between the end of August and the end of October of each election year, the candidates surviving the selection process will be allowed to post additional information, including standardized format town hall videos, standardized format public speech videos, papers, and other information intended to educate the voters. The information cannot mention the other candidates nor make references, nuanced or otherwise, to them. Again, you are a candidate, you're giving information on you, what you think, how you behave, whatever. There's none of this, I'm going to attack this other man or woman, I'm better than them, or they're lousy because of this. No, you're not allowed to do anything like that. The contents and standards for this information shall be specified and approved by a simple majority vote of the House of Representatives prior to each election cycle. Then, on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November in each election year, here we go, the citizens will vote for their preferred candidate from the pool of 2 for open House and Senate seats, and from the preferred candidate for the pool of 2 for president. And before the end of November, the presidential candidate winning. So basically because this system, because people would be voting, okay, on this national system, and they would have, maybe give them 48 hours or 24 or 40 hours, they can vote. First Tuesday after the first Monday of November, 24 hours a day. You don't need gymnasiums or churches or anything like that. You just vote online. You go to this secure system again and you vote. And by the way, we can implement, there's millions, probably billions by now, various devices that have biometric readers, like thumbprint readers, or they scan the face or they scan the eye. We could implement that all into the system so that when you vote, you scan your thumb, you scan your eye, you scan your face, the system then would say, okay, you voted, all right? And there's no way, or the probability would be nearly zero, that you could vote again, all right? So you can vote. You don't need to carry in an ID. You don't need a utility bill. You don't need anything. You just need to come and say, okay, I'm voting, and you submit yourself to this bio reading device, and there would be multiple ways to do that. And then the system would say, okay, this person voted. End of discussion. All right. No voter fraud or 1 in 10 billion votes cast could be, potentially fraudulent. Nothing. All right. All right. And so the vote is done and it's tabulated, and we would know within, 24 hours or whatever, that this is who has been elected to these various positions in our government. And then so the president would be one of these people. Before the end of November, the presidential candidate winning the election, obviously for the office of president, shall name the vice president from the remaining pool of top 5 presidential candidates from the previous phase voting. So in other words, we got to a place, the American people got to a place where there were 5 potential presidential candidates, and then ultimately we selected 2 of them, and we voted between those 2. And then once one of those 2 is selected, then that person can go back to that pool, maybe the person that came in second or one of the other people that were in that top 5, and select one of them to be the vice president. So one of the things that we want is the president and the vice president to be able to work together, but we also want the vice president to be someone that generally people wanted to support for president. So having this person that was, if you will, a top 5 candidate for the job, be the vice president, fills that criteria. And then the fact that the person who holds the highest office in the land has a selection of 4 other people they can choose between, that would allow them to decide, okay, this is the person that I think I could work with best. Okay, so you get the best of both worlds. And now we have the structure. Now we have the people elected, the good, high quality people elected to that structure. And of course, when they go to report and take their offices in early January, just like they do today, the outgoing incumbent folks are required to provide them like a 6-month detailed history of all the stuff, the issues, whatever has been facing them as in their job, to provide this transfer. Here's detailed information, what we've been working on for the last 6 months, the various bills that we've been trying to pass, why we've had trouble with this or that or the other thing, or concerns that we have. These are the things that we've been working on for the last 6 months, so that the new person coming in can absorb that and understand what the outgoing person was doing, and then therefore have this kind of continuity of at least understanding of what the previous person understood to be the pressing issues and things that they were working on to resolve them. I hope all that makes sense. It makes tremendous sense to most of the people that I talk to about this. Okay, so this has been part 4. The next part will be the final part 5 of the Statesman pentagy, not trilogy. Anyway, so this is part 4 of a 5-part series on the Citizen Statesman Amendment. The next one is the final part. And so until then, this has been the Pro and Con Show. My name is Michael James Ott. And until the next show, bye for now.